Silent Puzzler of Atlantis, written and directed by Adam Gifford, illustrated by AI image generation. This story is going to be done in a way of where you would be walking through a maze and an art gallery combined. I also included my own theories of events in the Bible. This book is also like an autistic brain, totally random, and it might not make sense. Alternate endings after the first ending, and author's notes. People told me the Tower of Babel and the 16 stones came after the flood of Noah. I got confused about the order, so I wrote this book based on the order I thought the events actually appeared. Tower of Babel happened between 2500 and 2200 BC. The flood is in blue about 2350 BC. The times conflict, and it is possible for the Tower of Babel to be before the flood, which makes my story work. The Tower of Babel, the 16 stones, and the city of Enoch happened before the flood of Noah. The city of Enoch was risen to the heavens because it was a perfect city. This book will have my theory on what really happened and answers to some interesting questions. If we are all descendants of Noah, why are there different skin colors? Why are there different languages? And most of all, why did people live over 900 years old before the flood? The skin color changed when Cain killed Abel. Languages changed when man built the Tower of Babel to get to heaven. God destroyed the tower and made different languages amongst the people. People lived over 900 years old because of the Fountain of Youth, but there was a price. There would be more obstacles in the way of progress, more floods, earthquakes, etc. You didn't have time to invent things, and you were always cleaning up after each disaster. After the Tower of Babel, Noah received a message from God to build an ark. The brother of Jared received 16 stones touched by the hand of God to put in the 8 ships. Noah's ark and the 8 ships were ready and loaded for the flood. God then took up the people in the city of Enoch before flooding the earth because they were perfect. God summoned a sea urchin big enough to sink the city of Enoch and raise the waters to flood the earth. All 9 ships were on the water for 40 days and 40 nights, in which time the sea urchin shrunk into the 2 guardians of the Fountain of Youth. When the water calmed down, Noah's Ark landed in Turkey and started the Europeans. 1 ship landed in China and started the Asians. 1 in South America for Hispanics. 1 in North America for Native Americans. 1 in India for modern Indians. 1 in Kenya for Africans. 1 in Egypt for the Egyptians. 1 in Australia for Australians, and 1 in Hawaii for Hawaiians. You, as the viewer, became interested in what Asino or Samantha had to say on the Fountain of Youth. Asino says, I was the sea urchin that God put on earth during the flood. When I shrank to become the 2 guardians, I could move my soul from one body to another. Every so often, I go to someone else's body and tell people about the maze to get to the Fountain of Youth. No one has yet solved it or is interested in it. The maze updates itself as time goes by. The puzzles are different for everyone, but if you solve it, you will get 1 magic power from the Fountain of Youth. The catch is, every time you use the power, it takes off a month of your life. You are only allowed the fountain once, and it will give you 1,000 years. Do you accept this quest to find the Fountain of Youth? If yes, continue watching. If no, that's okay. Someone will. Asino continues. Based on the memories of Samantha, who I possessed, the city of Enoch is now known as Atlantis. To find Atlantis, you must get the lyre of Ophiuchus, located in Babylonia, which is now known as Iraq. Once you have the lyre, get a ship and go to the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. When you get there, play this siren song and Atlantis will appear. Look for a mansion near a mountain on the north side of the island. You have arrived at the mansion and see the lawn full of statues. One half of the lawn has 12 statues that look like missionaries, probably representing the 12 apostles. Each statue is holding a plaque with a name on it. The names are Reuben, Simeon, Manasseh, Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, Gad, Asher, Dan, Naphtali, Ephraim, and Benjamin, which represents the 12 tribes. On the other side of the lawn is 13 statues that look like witches, and the leader has devil's horns and a tail. The leader is holding the ace of spades, and the other witches is holding 2 through 10, Jack, Queen, and King of random suits. There are 13 cards altogether. Between the apostles and the witches is a table with the Book of Mormon open to the 13 articles of faith, a ruler of 12 inches, and a calendar of 12 months. You see a door on the left of the mansion, which is still on the front of the mansion. You open the door and step into the first room. To the north is a door marked 12, to the east is a door marked 13, and to the west is a phrase, bakes her a dozen. The author has chosen door 12, and as you enter door 12, door 13 locks, keeping you on the path that has been chosen. On the north wall, there is a map of Utah on the top and Arizona on the bottom, a map of Colorado on the top and New Mexico on the bottom. Combine all 4 maps to get 4 corners. On the south wall is a picture of a ram with the word Aries, picture of a bull with the word Taurus, picture of a lion with the word Leo, and a picture of a goat with the word Capricorn, a picture of an archer with the word Sagittarius, picture of a virgin with the word Virgo, picture of twins with the word Gemini, and a picture of a water bearer with the word Aquarius. On the east wall is a picture of a fish with the word Pisces, picture of balance with the word Libra, picture of crab with the word Cancer, and a picture of a scorpion with the word Scorpius. That would complete the zodiac in horoscopes. On the east wall is a picture of another goat, picture of an ox, picture of a dragon, and a picture of a horse. On the north wall is a picture of a rat, picture of a rabbit, picture of a rooster, and a picture of a pig. On the north wall is a picture of a tiger, picture of a monkey, picture of a dog, and a picture of a snake. That would complete the Chinese version of the zodiac. On the south wall, there is a picture of a fire, earth, wind, and water for the 4 elements. Moving west to the last section, walls in the south, west, and north. South wall has a picture of a snowman, birds in a tree, swimming pool, and a pile of leaves. All 4 pictures represents the 4 seasons. On the west wall is a compass, which represents 4 directions. There is a small entrance in the northeast corner and you enter it. On the east wall is a ladder that leads to a trapdoor with the number 12. On the west wall is a door with the number 4. The clue on the north wall is 4 queens, 1 of each suit. The author chooses door 4. You continue up a ladder to the 2nd floor and see an image of twins and a pair of socks. You see another ladder and climb it to the 3rd floor. There is another image of Siamese cats and Noah's Ark. You run into a door, open it, and get out on a balcony. You see a lever that has a sign that reads, "To move forward, pull lever." You pull a lever, the balcony leaves the mansion and moves west. As this goes on, the mansion maze changes into a regular maze on the same level as the balcony. When it's done transforming, you see a clue next to 2 different paths. The clues read double the alphabet. The choices are A times 2 or Aardvark. For this video, the author chooses Aardvark. You continue down the path and see an Aardvark that had a bubble accident. The Aardvark was also adding sheep before it ate a waffle. The sheep wiggled a fishhook while water skiing. As you continue the path, you see the word Hajj, which is a religious duty to Muslims on a book carried by a bookkeeper. After that, a ball was kicked by a mammal out of a tunnel. The mammal was a mole, and he went further down the path. You took a look and saw a puppy near a map of Egypt, and the city Saqqara was marked. Later, you run into a bottle with an arrow in it laying on the grass. There was also a vacuum with the word savvy on it nearby. Later, you run into a glow worm that crawled on a Wexwear t-shirt worn by a Syed Islamic chief who was handing out quizzes. Last, you see a sign that reads, "Give me a hand, applaud to the left, and toss a limb to the right." The author chooses to toss a limb, and you continue on. You continue on, and a man on a white horse says, "You're headed to a mental institute." Then you see a red horse with a man who says, "You're headed to the nut house or an insane asylum." Next, you see a black horse with a man who says, "You're headed to the funny farm or cuckoo's nest." Later, you see a pale horse with a man who says, "You're headed to the psychiatric hospital or loony bin." At the end of the path is a note on a lever. The note reveals you just met the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. Depending on the source, white means Christ or death, red means war, black or purple means famine, pale or green means pestilence and death, or just pestilence. You pull the lever, and a door forms on the mountain, and the door slides out towards you a couple of feet and then falls into the earth. The mountain revealed a cave, and you walk in, and the door closes behind you. You see a box big enough to hold a gun and some ammo. You open the box and see a note that reads, "This gun will explode in a minute if you don't load the needle-sharp bullets and shoot." As the author decides, a Cyclops comes your way. Do you load the gun and shoot the Cyclops? Do you load the gun and shoot at a rock for fun? Do you do nothing? The author chooses nothing, and the gun explodes. You get ripped apart metaphorically and put together one time. It turns out this weapon isn't meant to kill, but to torture metaphorically. A black hole from Looney Tunes appears below you. As you fall, the Cyclops says, "Because you are willing to sacrifice your own life, you get a second chance at the maze." You are teleported to the sign that reads, "Bakes her a dozen." It actually means baker's dozen, and the author will now choose door 13. As you enter, door 12 locks, and you see an open umbrella and a lucky horseshoe. Next, you see a hat on a bed, indicating bad luck. After that, you climb a ladder and spot a lucky rabbit's foot and grab it, and continue on to floor 3. On floor 3, you spot a rainbow slide and slide down to floor 1 again and find a pot of gold. You see another ladder and climb it to floor 3 again in a different area. There is 2 doors. One has a broken mirror representing the number 7 and a calendar that has Friday the 13th circled representing the number 13. The author chooses the door with 13 and you continue on. You go through the door to a balcony and there is a lever. You pull the lever and the balcony moves east. As this happens, the mansion transforms into another maze and 2 trails appear in front of you when it's done. There is a clue that says to follow alphabet silently with a finger on lips like saying shh, and down the trail is an alligator asleep. Going left and going right is a sign that reads red. The author chooses the path with the sleeping alligator. As you go by, you run into a bashful bobcat bandit who dances ballet with butterflies. Next, you see a cheetah conductor who coys with confidential crocodiles and chameleons. Then you run into Dr. Deafness, who is blowing dandelions. Out of the blue, eagles with empty talons come down and swoop up some earthworms and escargot. A fader fox has a feud in a frozen funeral while you pass by. After that, a gnat gnome gagged a gypsy with a gecko. You accidentally step on a twig. Hushed by the hoodoo hunter with a hidden hair, you continue down the path and see an iguana who ignores inchworm isolators. Nearby is a jaeger who hunts jaguars with klepto koalas, avoiding pickpockets. You run into a librarian with a leopard and a lion. Silently creeping up are magician mimes with muffler monks who meditate. Down the path are ninja nuns who observe omodor opossums. Further along, psychic predators are panthers who quietly take quizzes. Rabbi revelators speak of stealthy sloth spies. Timid therapists thieves steal tigers. A unicorn under tree branches makes it the unicorn under cover. It starts to get dark when you see a Valor vigilante with a vendetta. Xenolith rock fragment X-rays being looked at by wombat watchers. Yeg wears a yazmak who yawns while yielding to zebras that do zen. For the most part, all these things represent silence. You run into a sign that reads, "Talk your ear off," with a bass fish left or jester right. The author has chosen the path marked bass, and you see birds in a construction site resting on a cement truck. Next are clowns with sledgehammers using fireworks. You hear lightning, known as thunder, and it starts to rain. The water builds up, drenching out firewood that's burning. Halfway through, you see crickets hopping on microwaves and television sets. You hear sirens. You see a man snoring, waking up to an alarm clock. As you get to the end of the path, an orchestra plays all sorts of music loudly. This path is based on noisy things. Then you see two oracles. One always tells the truth, the other one always lies. You ask a direct question or an indirect question. The author has chosen an indirect question, and you head right. You climb up cliff number 1, noticing a barrel coming down. Just before it hits you, you manage to jump over it just in time. You jump another before getting to cliff number 2. On cliff number 2, you jump another barrel and manage to get to cliff number 3. At the beginning of cliff number 3, you see a hammer and pick it up. Somehow you feel strong that you decided to hammer the barrels as you get to cliff number 4. It works so well you destroyed 5 barrels by the time you reach the top of cliff number 5. The hammer vanishes without you realizing it. A barrel knocks you down. Just before the next barrel, you manage to jump up to the next cliff. Before continuing on, you realize this was similar to the original Donkey Kong. You continue on to see the Fountain of Youth and step in the water and see a plaque. The plaque reads, "You now have 1,000 years and get a power of your choosing." An angel appears and asks, "What power do you wish for? Teleportation, invincibility, healing? What?" You made your wish and it comes true, metaphorically speaking. But remember, you lose a month of life when you use it. You return home and decide to let Asino go from the mental institute because she is sane after all. The end. Number 8. Alternate endings. You have decided on the path read and see a statue reader instead of the thinker. You pass a lamb who is with the Tsar holding a Jin's lamp. A kite flew by with a half penny on the string, held by a gnome. Next is a school for painters who paint knights with lacquer. Mnemonic calf carved into a column made by the youth of Zion. Psychos use marijuana, especially during February because of Valentine's, time for love. Later, you see a map of an island with a whistle hanging down from it. You blow the whistle and a door with the word Milkavi on it opens up to reveal a mosque. Sometime later, you see a wreath on a fox haystack at the rendezvous point. You have arrived at the area E1 on the map and see a lever. You pull the lever and a door in the mountain forms. The door slides towards you a couple feet and then falls into the earth. You walk in the cave and find a lifetime of chocolate with a note that reads, "You have gotten all puzzles correct, but humans aren't perfect. To get to the Fountain of Youth, you must make mistakes like humans do." You go home with the chocolate because the maze disappears until the next person. The end. Number 1. You have chosen the path with the jester, known as King's Joker. As you walk this path, you see months of calendars on each tree. When you get to the first one, you see January, and close to the tree on the ground is a hyacinth or garnet. Second one is February with an amethyst stone. As you pass them, you pick them up and take them with you. Third one is March with a bloodstone, aquamarine stone, or jasper stone. Fourth one is April with a white sapphire or diamond. Fifth one is May with an emerald chrysoprase or chalcedony. Sixth one is June with a moonstone, alexandrite or pearl. Seventh one is July with a carnelian or ruby. Eighth one is August with a sardonyx or peridot. Ninth one is September with a lapis lazuli or sapphire. 10th one is October with rosericon tourmaline or opal. 11th one is November with lemon quartz or topaz. 12th one is December with turquoise or zircon. This path is all about birthstones, and there is a lever at the end. You pull the lever located at E2 on the map. A door forms in the mountain, slides towards you a couple feet, and falls into the earth, revealing a cave. You walk into the cave and find 20 more diamonds with a note that reads, "You did good at solving puzzles, but this is not the fountain of youth." You go home with the diamonds and birthstones because the maze disappears for the next person. The end. Number 2. Do you load the gun and shoot the Cyclops? Ending 1. Do you load the gun and shoot at a rock for fun? Ending 2. Do you do nothing? Was already in the story. Ending 1. You decided to load the gun and shoot the Cyclops with needles. Not knowing what would happen, you see the Cyclops get ripped apart and put together 3 times. It turns out this weapon isn't meant to kill but to torture. The Cyclops gets real mad and swings his sword at you, and now you are part of the cave's wall forever. This sword is the sword of entrapment. It traps the victim and whatever object behind them. The end. Number 3. Ending part 2. You decide to load the gun and shoot a rock for fun. Nothing happens, and the Cyclops thanks you by giving you his sword, the sword of entrapment. It traps the victim and whatever object is behind them. You go home with the sword because the maze disappears for the next person. The end. Number 4. Ending number 3. Endings already in the video. The end. Number 5. You decided to go down the path fruit times 2 and start picking fruit. You start with an apricot tree that isn't popping popcorn. Second, a banana tree to make a monkey out of you. Next, you see an axe next to a cherry tree and cut it down like George Washington. Avoid the dragon as you get dragon fruit. Remember to respect your elders as you get elderberries. Isaac Newton discovered gravity so you can make fig Newtons out of figs. Don't forget grapes, huckleberries, imbe, and jalapeno. There is also kiwi, not the bird, limes, mangoes, and nectarines. Addition to is onions, peaches. Remember Princess Peach from Mario Brothers? Sorry, getting off topic. King's an apple, as well as number 15 in Spanish, raspberries, and strawberries. Next, you get tomatoes, eulychus, volvangus, watermelons, ziguas, yams, and zucchini. At the end of the path, you see a lever and pull it. A door forms in the mountain. The door slides towards you a couple feet and falls in the ground, revealing a cave. You walk in and the door closes. The cave floods with water 3 feet deep. A sea otter comes in and sheds all its hair on you. The sea otter transforms into Amelia Earhart, and you transform into an otter. Amelia leaves saying, "Thank you for freeing me. The hair itches so much you wish you were dead." Amelia continues, "Sorry, you got all puzzles wrong." The end. Number 6. You have decided to ask a direct question and choose left up. You jump onto cliff number 1 when it moves towards you. Cliff number 1 brings you to cliff number 2 and you jump on it, waiting for cliff number 3 to align with cliff number 2. Then you jump onto cliff number 3. When cliff number 3 goes to the top, you notice cliff number 4 is going in and out of the mountain. To time it right, you realize you need to get on the other cliff number 3 and you jump onto it to that one. As soon as the other cliff number 3 reaches the top, you jump onto cliff number 4 and immediately jump jump up and grab the salmon ladder seen on America's Ninja Warrior. You climb up the salmon ladder, almost missing a hook, but manage to get to cliff number 5. When you get up on cliff number 5, you see a plaque that reads, "Jump back and forth on the walls like in Super Mario 64 or a Batman game on NES. You jump on the far wall, hoping you won't fall, and notice a small spring under your foot. The spring helps you jump back to the wall you came from. You do this several more times before reaching the top. When you reach the top of the entrance to the cave, all the cliffs number 1 through 5 form a wall behind you, blocking you in. You walk further in, see the fountain of youth, and you take a swim. But wait, a devil appears, throws a grenade in the fountain, and the water turns to acid. The acid kills you. The end. Number 7. Author's notes. Endings number 1, 3, and 5 was inspired by a dream I had on August 18th, 2018. I dreamt of a weapon that didn't kill but tortured. You had 1 minute to load the needles and fire them, or it will blow you up into a million pieces and put you back together again. If you shoot someone else, they blow up 3 times and put together 3 times. The best solution is shooting a non-animated object. I also dreamt about chocolate, and all this happened in a maze. Endings number 2 and 7 were inspired by 2 different dreams I wrote down on the same day, August 25th, 2018. I dreamt I could shoot diamonds from my pointer finger. In another dream, I dreamt of acid grenades that spill acid everywhere. Ending number 6 is inspired by a dream I had 3 days before Thanksgiving of 2018. This guy had the power to put hair on people, but it would itch so bad you wish you were dead. Ending number 8 was inspired by a dream I had before I got incarcerated. At the end of my dream, I found a fountain with peaceful people. The fountain looked like Rapunzel's tower with 4 openings on top for each direction on a compass. Each opening has water coming out into a pool 10 feet wide around a 5 feet diameter tower. Extra information. Endings number 3 through 5 can relate to any addiction. Not loading the weapon is like not trying to change your behavior. Loading the weapon and shooting someone is like getting caught and things backfire on you threefold. Shooting at a non-animated object is like getting rid of the addiction and replacing it with something productive. The oracles or 2 guardians mentioned in the prologue are inspired by the movie The Labyrinth, starring David Bowie and Jennifer Connelly. Here is how to solve one person lies, one person tells the truth. Say like door A is the true door and B is the false door. If you ask a direct question about door A being the true door, you will get a yes from the person who tells the truth and a no from the liar. If you ask an indirect question about door A, you will get no from both people. With door B, the answers are reversed. So, that being said, when the answers are the same and the answer is no, that is the correct door.